Good evening. Welcome to the meeting of the Skokie Village Board for Monday, April the 4th, 2022. This evening, we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Village Clerk Pramod Shah. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The meeting will come to order, and the clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Sutker.
Here.
Trustee Robinson.
Here.
Trustee Kuhn.
Here.
Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Pure Slovan.
Here.
Trustee Klein.
Here.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Here, we have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. A motion is in order. Trustee Robinson, seconded by Trustee Sutker. Is there anything on the consent agenda anybody would like to have removed? If not, I'll call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson.
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. It's my pleasure to introduce the chairman of the Beautification and Improvement Commission for their annual Beautification Awards. I see Kathy Stevens stepping up. Kathy, welcome.
Hello.
Ferdinand Soko, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This is our 2022 Annual Property Awards Night. There are 35 properties have been selected for the award by our commission, the Beautification and Improvement Commission. The property owners will be presented with an achievement certificates by Mayor Van Dusen. Please come up when your name is called to receive the certificate. But before we begin, I want to introduce the commission member, my team, who worked hard in putting this together. A special thank you to, if you are here and you're one of my commissioners, please stand up, wave, jump, so that you could be recognized. Sharon Ditlove, Bernell Allison Smith, Jeanette Anwia, Ann Goldshaft, Joseph Haston, Dahlia Horwitz, George Hupchuk, Bram Cassini, Chuck Levin, Frederick Lisowich. So Fred, yeah. Ed Potash, Rachel Rosenberg, Mitch Sandler in the back, Josh Payer, Valerie Schumann, Brooke Sprague, Elaine Steiner, Ann Van Osdell, Kathy Stevens, our forester, also our staff liaison, and James Johnson, our trustee liaison. James, and of course, I'm Ferdinand Soko, the chair of the commission. So again, welcome. And we'll start with the presentation. Thank you, Mitch. Mayor, would you please come forward?
Okay, I want to ask the trustees to join me. Just kind of line up here.
Line up.
I'm gonna line up with them.
So do we need to do that?
Yeah, I know, this is gonna be. Sherman, see if you can picture.
Maybe I can.
Can you do both?
I don't know.
You know what? as I pronounce your names, and I will apologize up front if I mess up your names. Please bear with me. When your name is announced, please come up, receive your plaque, and greet the trustees and the mayor. First award is Yasmin Adams.
Take another one.
Yes, do without the mask, yes. Abe and Floraville Blacklick. Turn around so he can get your picture. She gardens, he takes credit. Ken Klinkman and Charlene Brooks. Mind you, there's other awards winners. If you got a copy of the brochure earlier, you'll see, but we're going to go past them since they're not here. Okay. All right. You'd already pulled it out of the box.
Oh, I had.
Fernando's next.
Oh.
Yeah.
I knew it was there.
You were being too efficient. Emmanuel and Elizabeth Fernando.
So that's that. Oh, sorry. These are.
One. There we go.
There we go.
Okay. Paul and Juliet Gavargas. Yeah, you. They're working on win number 9, I believe. We said. Uh-huh. Juskowski is next.
Who?
Juskowski,
Oh, yeah.
that's next.
Just
Jim and Mary Guskowski. Jaskowski. Barbara Kenning.
I was really happy with your picture this year.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
a good one.
Thank you.
It is a,
Yeah, they did come out nice. Beautiful. Thank you very much. No, no, you got it. You're not off the hook yet. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Mike Long.
First time winner. He's a first time winner. Thank you.
Nice job.
Alfredo Martinez and Teresa Sosa. Turn around.
They do a ton of stuff.
Lori Merkley.
Who decides this? I mean, do you want to drive around the village?
Yes, we have a committee.
Then I feel honored. I thought it was a random thing.
No, no, no. We have a committee that does a very rigorous selection process.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Doug and Cress Rower. There we are.
Thank you.
That's a nicely framed house.
Yeah, good way to.
Behind you. We know who the boss is here. John and Lita Rosales.
Thank you.
Turn around. Take your mask off. There we go. George Sabali. That's the last one. Face him, not me. Are there any other award winners that came in that
Oh, this lady.
went
Maybe
past
it's
me? Who's that? No? All right, let's give a round of applause to all the winners, present and absent. Thank you for your time, Mayor. Okay.
Hi, nice to see you. These are honorable mentions.
Okay.
Congratulations to everybody who was recognized this evening. The commission does, in fact, ride around the village, making notations of homes that particularly stand out for their beautification. And it's the work that you do with your gardening and beautification that makes the village such an attractive place year in and year out. And I want to thank the commission, and I want to thank all of you who do so much for this village. We're very proud of the village of Skokie. It is a beautiful place to live, and it's because of all of the hard work that you do. I won't ask the gardeners to raise their hands. We will just simply assume that both of you do the work equally. I am not a gardener, but my wife is the gardener in the family. And I have a pretty good idea of the kind of dedication it takes to do what you do. So just very simply, thank you. We deeply appreciate it. And why don't we take a short break? So all of you, I know you're all here, you would like to hear about bids and things like that, but I have a sneaking suspicion you might like to adjourn. So let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll give everybody a chance to, so we can. I know. The meeting will resume with the report of our village manager, John Lockerbie.
Thank you, Mayor Van Duzen and Village Board. Good evening, everyone. Items A and B were approved as part of tonight's consent agenda. Item C is regarding a request, Items A, B, and C were approved as part of the consent agenda. Item D is a request for executive session. Pursuant to Section 2, Paragraph C11 of the State of Illinois Open Meetings Act, a closed session is requested and to adjourn therefrom.
A motion on the executive session is in order. Trustee Pure Slovan, seconded by Trustee Johnson. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan,
Aye.
Trustee Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Windows.
Aye, the motion passes.
That completes my report this evening.
Next item is report of our Corporation Council. Michael Lorge.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees. Good evening to everyone. Items A, B, and C were ordinances which were on the consent agenda at the beginning of this evening's meeting and were adopted at that time, and that would conclude my report for tonight.
Thank you. Under Plan Commission, Chairman Paul Luke with Jeff Berman and Matt Brandmeier. There are 5 different votes that we will need to take on this particular case. What I'd like to do is what we've kind of done in the past when we've had this kind of situation is the chairman will make his presentation, and then members of the board can ask their questions, make whatever comments they wish, and then we would proceed to vote on A, B, C, D, and E. So, Mr.
Very well
Chairman?
put, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, and members of the board. Since I was absent at that meeting, Commissioner Berman chaired the meeting that night, and he will make the report for tonight.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. Thank you for the time today. Mayor, thank you for doing, Paul just told me my part was to make sure I remind you all that there's 5 cases and to vote on each one separately. So since it's taken care of so ably, I won't have to do that. So just to review the report, during our March 17th meeting, the Plan Commission heard requests for a zoning map amendment, alley vacation, site plan approval, and 2 special use permits for a 3,973 square foot limited service restaurant with a drive-through and outdoor seating at the existing Dunkin' Baskin store at 5152 Avenue, with the addition of 3 residential properties on Jarlath. The applicant proposes to combine the properties and rebuild the store with an addition of a double drive-through, outdoor dining, and other site features. The applicant requested a reduction of parking spaces from 34 spaces to 29 spaces based upon a consultant traffic engineer's report and staff's review. Relief was also requested for additional signs as presented on the elevations. Upon review, the Plan Commission recommended changes to the landscape plan that will provide better screening for the residents on Jarlath. The Commission also recommended conditions that Laramie Avenue be included in required litter pickup and trash pickup at least 3 times a week. The applicant provided a revised landscape plan that includes the installation of 15 arborvitae trees between the parking lot and the fence. The revised landscape plan replaces the previous version of the plan. As part of the village's environmental review, staff noted that the enforcement of the Energy Conservation Code, Plumbing Code, tree protection and replacement, installation of landscape planting areas, and adherence to stormwater drainage standards. The applicant said the building will use high energy efficient LED lighting, paints with 0 VOCs, and high efficiency HVAC equipment. The applicant also said the company eliminated polystyrene foam cups a few years ago in 2020. Interested party legal notice was advertised and posted and delivered to the property owners in the areas prescribed. 5 neighboring residential property owners spoke at the hearing, and the concerns included hours of outdoor dining, change of residential street in view from their homes, a potential increase of trash, vermin, noise from the drive-through, and traffic. The proposed building elevations and landscape plan were reviewed and approved at the March 9th Appearance Commission meeting with additional signs as presented. Plan Commission recommendations and voting. The Plan Commission recommended by the votes of 5 ayes and 0 nays that the petitioner's request for the zoning map amendment, alley vacation, site plan, special use permits for the drive-through and outdoor dining at 5152 A Avenue and 4149, 50, it would be nice if I could read, 5149, 5153, and 5157 Jarlath in the B2 Commercial District be approved based on the proposed positive findings of fact and the recommended conditions.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from members of the board? Trustee Robinson.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Chairing the meeting. Just wanted to give you the kudos.
Thank you. I'm glad someone thought so. Anyway.
I heard there were 5 different points from the neighbors there.
Mhm.
I think you said hours of dining, noise, traffic, trash, and what was the 5th?
Vermin?
Varmint.
So,
What mitigation efforts are we going to do to
it was,
remedy those?
well, in terms of the lighting and noise levels, it was, they were concerned about, with noise levels, concerned about loitering at certain hours, and it was pointed out that in terms of what the hours are already in the code relative to people using the outdoor dining area. In terms of lighting, the petitioner addressed that issue with the fact that they've done light studies, and then they are going to be using lights that'll be pointing directly down as opposed to out. The vermin was an issue that it turns out the petitioner had dealt with already, in that some of the neighboring properties they've since acquired had nests and burrows in the backyards, and they had treated that already, but when they tear down the property and excavate, those will be destroyed. And she raised the point that they don't want vermin in their restaurants any more than the neighbors want them in their surrounding areas. And I think that was mainly it. The noise, too, was also on the issue of the ordering sign and microphone and speaker, and it was pointed out that that was deliberately put on the west side of the property so that it wouldn't be near any of the properties on the east or on the north.
I think I recall the visual sight line to the parking lot too, which has been addressed with the arborvitae.
Yeah, the issue was raised that at least 2 of the properties on Jarlath on the opposite side of the street have elevated first floors, and they were worried that sitting in their living room, they'd be looking right out into the drive-through over the top of the fence. And so at first, we talked about an 8-foot fence, which would have to have been an exception, and they were actually opposed to that, and it seemed very amenable to revised landscaping, which is what this has come out of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Trustee Pierce-Lovan.
Thank you. What are the hours of this facility now? And are they going to change with the,
You know, I just realized the petitioner sitting here, so I'm going to let them answer if that's okay with their hours.
Well, please come up to the podium.
Sorry, I could have had you field some other questions.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Good evening. My name is Rena Pinjwani, and I'm with the Dunkin' Donuts Development. Hours of operation are currently 24 hours, and we will maintain those hours.
thank you. And then I understand there was concerns about traffic patterns. Are we anticipating that there's going to be more traffic with the new facility?
We hope that the drive-through will generate additional on-site traffic, but we don't expect any additional traffic to the residential surroundings. So there's no additional access created for the residential streets on Jarlath, for example, but we do hope that we will get busier as a result.
Trustee Klein.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask a few questions. First, about the view on Jarlath. There is no egress on Jarlath at all?
Correct, absolutely. Like Jarlath will remain as is, so it'll remain with the dead end, and there'll be no, the trees, I can, perfect here. Can I use this?
Please.
Oh, it's on you. Okay. So the board, yeah. We'll just, okay. So this is Jarlath, the
Okay.
red, red line there. So the sidewalk remains, the lawn remains, the sidewalk remains. This is our property over here, so we added a fence, and now we're gonna add additional landscaping here, additional height landscaping.
And how tall do those get?
So, right here, so, and I can't pronounce,
Up to 15 feet.
yeah, up to 15 feet
Oh.
for the
Arborvitae.
arborvitae. And then, these will get up to 10 feet in the between.
Okay, now, we're vacating the alley from Laramie to the T, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and what are we gonna do along the T alley? Anything? I don't know what's gonna be there.
That alley's remaining as it is.
But I don't know what is there, what is adjacent to the T alley on the property? Is that just
There's
parking?
A home on the east, and then there.
Oh, I know on the east, I'm talking about on the west of it.
It would be, the fence wraps around to, as well through the alley, and there will be a gate for, and the shelter for the trash receptacles for pickup.
Okay. So that'll give good aesthetics to anybody on Jarlath then? That's all I'm concerned
It's
about.
Not per se on Jarlath, it's actually on the alley.
Yeah.
More facing down towards the east-west alley.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
Trustee Johnson.
I wanted to ask for some clarification on some comments in the staff reports. For,
We'll just stay here.
for the zoning map amendment, there are two considerations. The first one is whether the map amendment's consistent with the comprehensive plan or development trends. And staff's finding is that the amendment's not consistent, but it is consistent with changes to commercial developments along 2E.
Yes.
So my first question is really, in what ways is the proposal consistent with development trends along 2E?
Well, I think there's pressure to, to have deeper lots along Tui. What you have existing right now is, it's very narrow. The older commercial is very hard to redevelop as these buildings are functionally obsolete essentially and can no longer be used. I think we're gonna see more developers requesting rezonings or kind of buying up properties in order to expand the district.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that too.
Yeah.
In terms of trends, have any other businesses along 2E bought up, rezoned, and demolished residential homes?
I mean, we've seen, the Walmart, Mariano's development, that bought up industrial properties. But what I was just saying as far as the depth, that was part of kind of searching for that depth in order to have a building and a parking lot and, circulation, that sort of thing. There have been other places in the city where, we saw one about a year ago on Grosse Pointe Road where 3 residential properties were purchased in order to propose a medical facility. I know there was a Dunkin' on Gulf that included the redevelopment of a single-family home, and then there's the Walgreens at Crawford and in Dempster that included a single-family property. So there is precedence for that.
You mentioned kind of the possibility of this creating precedent. So you had mentioned in the staff report that if approved, there's a likelihood that adjacent commercial properties would purchase residential lots and request rezoning.
Well, I can see that long-term. There is an alternative that you provide a rationale and basically draw a red line and say that no further, rezonings, should be approved. And that red line, I think, is based on the street and the alley, the way it currently functions. But if, like I said, the likelihood of redevelopment, and if I could go to the map real quick, this area, and you see you have the expressway and the cloverleaf here, and then to the west is, you start getting into this intense commercial industrial area. I mean, I think the expectation should be that this is all gonna be commercial. At some point, they're going to want to redevelop and essentially expand their footprint. So that's, it could be 5 years, it could be 20 years, but that's long-term thinking.
but I think there are pressures that way.
So is staff's assumption that if we do approve this, that this will set precedent for other businesses on 2E?
I don't think you're obligated.
Okay.
I think you can provide a rationale that says we're willing to expand the district to this extent, tonight. And then we would have to review future applications based on their own
How
merit.
would-
But I don't want you to think that you're,
Oh,
by
no, I
making a
understand.
decision, that you're forced to do anything in the future.
What would be the rationale for justifying this rezoning but not other rezonings?
Like I said, I think you can basically draw a line at the street in the alley and say that this little pocket right in there, can be rezoned. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about the second consideration. If the consideration is that the property in question is more suitable for the uses allowed under the proposed zoning district than the existing one.
Yeah.
But the finding just says it's an appropriate use. It doesn't say that it's a more suitable use site.
Yeah.
Do you think commercial is a more suitable use than residential?
Well, there's a lot of ways of evaluating that. I think as a function of, economic impact, it certainly is more suitable that kind of this, in the lot and the depth and the acquisition of, the single-family homes. It certainly, it creates, a lot more of, you're gonna have the sales tax, the property tax, as far as kind of functioning from a revenue standpoint. It is more suitable, yeah.
From the neighbor's standpoint, I see why it might be more suitable from the 2E perspective. From the
Right.
Jarlath perspective, what would make this?
So I was interested in hearing what, the public had to say and what the input we received at the meeting. The applicant, I asked the applicant to knock on doors prior to the meeting and kind of get an idea of what they were looking for. We talked about, that rear area, kind of where the transition would be. Initially it was, we talked about 6-foot wood fence, something that would be more residential in nature. We probably had about 5 people at the meeting who, yeah, they had concerns, but their concerns was they mainly involved the view and how that would change. Operationally, there's not a whole lot that's going to change on Jarlath. There's not going to be any commercial traffic. It's completely blocked off. Essentially, at the time of construction, and that's certainly why I wanted the fence to go in right away, is so that there was a barrier. But then, when they plant the arborvitae and the yews, they're going to, over time, they'll mature, and you'll have a complete screening from there. So I think the views are gonna, in the long run, they won't be affected.
Would the revised landscaping plan provide any relief to Mr. Poss, the neighbor right immediately to the east of this site? He seemed like he had the most complaints when he spoke at the Plan Commission meeting.
Yeah, I don't know why that's not focusing, but there's not a, other than the fence, there's really not much we can do, but the impact is, he's adjacent to commercial already, so the impact is, the additional impact is minimal, I think.
In your report, you said that the request is, or that the proposal is not going to adversely impact the adjacent properties. We did have the 5 neighbors who voiced concerns.
Yeah.
When there are neighbors that express concerns, how is a finding like that determined? How is it judged whether or not?
So the standard of review is essentially mitigating impacts. And I think, when you have any of these requests, special use permit, site plans, that should be the standard. How are we reducing the amount of impact on?
Okay.
And that's a result of the conditions and, the site plan elements and that sort of thing. That's really, as far as my job goes, that's the number one thing I'm trying to do, mitigate impacts.
Final thing, for the consideration about environmental impact, it said that there are no adverse effects on the natural environment anticipated by the site. But
Yeah.
I think we just recently had the greenhouse gas emissions audit that showed that residential is tends to have a much lower environmental footprint than commercial.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's based upon our current ordinances and our current standard of review. If we had some additional items in the code that address, tailpipe emissions that would be relevant, but it's not something that I'm able to apply today, so.
Okay.
So I guess in that state, yeah, that is an impact.
Is our kind of a relationship to drive-throughs going to be considered when we look at these issues with the comprehensive plan?
It's something that we talked in detail with the economic, or with our task force for COVID, the Economic Recovery Task Force. And it's something that we're seeing in the market, that there's more and more demand. And, you see the parking relief tonight because essentially our parking requirements are based upon 10 spaces per 1,000, square feet of restaurant area. And that anticipate a lot of people coming, parking, and then going inside. That's turned on its head completely. And the reason why, there's, relief is because our ordinances don't really match the conditions of the market. With that said, you have essentially just about, every restaurant proposal we've had over the past year or so involves some heightened level of drive-through, in like the double drive-throughs. You saw the Chipotle, which doesn't even have a menu board. You do it on your app and then you go and pick it up. I mean, there's different kinds of things that are being proposed that haven't really been discussed before, but it is something that we anticipate. It is something that we discuss in detail in the task force. In a couple of months, you're going to see 3 more drive-throughs proposed. So we're kind of reviewing those we'll be reviewing those at the Plan Commission level, but that's when it comes to restaurant space, that's where the demand is.
Yeah, no, I understand totally. I
Yeah.
feel like we're kind of in a bind as we're looking for how do we make a less car-dependent village.
Right.
And yet.
It's
the trends-
counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of steps we can take in order to address the other side of it. But I think from a, revenue standpoint, just a marketplace standpoint, it's here to stay. Drive-throughs are essentially.
Totally.
But, if we can provide more, opportunities for mass transit, more opportunities for biking, walking, we've been talking about adding requirements for charging stations, I think all of those could potentially counterbalance, the impacts that you're seeing with this.
But it's also a matter of convenience.
Yes.
I live very close to the Dunkin' on Gulf Road. Every Thursday afternoon, I'm in there with my granddaughter. We're generally the only people in the store. Outside is the drive-through. And I have to say, I have to compliment the way they're so efficient. I mean, I think part of the problem is that over the years, these restaurants have become incredibly efficient with the drive-through. They get you through and out very quickly. And I see my neighbors with their kids in the cars after, I presume, soccer practice or Little League or some such thing. And I think the marketplace is convenient. I tried a few years ago to talk to a couple national coffee houses about one of the areas that we're looking for redevelopment. And I was told by both of them, sorry, the area where you would like us, we can't go because we can't put a drive-through. So we won't even consider it, thank you very much. And it didn't matter what you said, it was the drive-through that was the deal killer. And I don't know what we do about it, but that's it. Trustee Robinson.
Just had one question for the petitioner. What are you most excited about this project?
I mean, it's the drive-through, right? I mean, the only reason we're doing this, obviously, is to have the potential for the drive-through. The Dunkin's that had drive-throughs during the pandemic fared so much better than those like us that did not. And it was, it was a tale of two cities. The Dunkins that have drive-throughs thrived, and the Dunkins that don't have drive-throughs are struggling to survive. So unfortunately, even in Skokie, the locations that we operate that don't have drive-throughs, the train station one we closed, and then, there may be one or two others that, just don't make it because of the changing consumer patterns that really demand that drive-through. So, what we're really, excited and hopeful for is being able to compete with that, that platform. So thank you for asking that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Sucker.
I was going to add to the comment that with the pandemic, I think we learned how important the drive-throughs can be for fast, efficient, and safe service. So, thank you.
Okay, we have 5 votes that we need to take. The first one is Plan Commission Case 2022-8P, Zoning Map Amendment. A motion is in order. Trustee Pure Slovan, Trustee Kuhn. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sucker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
I'm voting nay just on the zoning map amendment, because I think this is more, these 3 sites on Jarlath are more suitable for residential than commercial. They have had residential homes for 70 years, and these homes are at a great location. They're a block from Laramie Park. They're a couple of blocks walk from Fairview South School. These homes are right by the expressway. They're great for commuters. I mean, I think destroying these 3 homes, I think is kind of a waste. And so for me, I would say that this site is obviously more suited for residential than commercial. So I'm going to vote just against the zoning map amendment tonight.
Trustee Pure Slovan,
I vote aye.
Trustee Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Andrews.
Aye, the motion passes. The second vote is Plan Commission Case 2022-9P, Alley Vacation 5150 Tui and 5149, 5153, 5157 Jarlath. A motion is in order. Trustee Robinson, seconded by Trustee Sutker. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sucker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan,
Aye.
Trustee Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Andrews.
Aye, the motion passes. Plan Commission Case 2022-10P, Site Plan Approval, 5152 and 5149, 5153, and 5157 Jarlath. Motion is in order. Trustee Klein, seconded by Trustee Sutker. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sucker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan,
Aye.
Trustee Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Andrews.
Aye, the motion passes. Plan Commission Case 2022-11P, Special Use Permit Drive-Through 5150 Tui and 5149, 5153, and 5157 Jarlath. Motion is in order. Trustee Sutker, seconded by Trustee Robinson. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sucker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan,
Aye.
Trustee Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Andrews.
Aye, the motion passes. And finally, Plan Commission Case 2022-12P, Special Use Permit Outdoor Dining, 5152 and 5149, 5153, and 5157 Jarlath. A motion is in order. Trustee Pure Slovan, seconded by Trustee Klein. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sucker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovin,
Aye.
Trustee Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Mendoza.
Aye, the motion passes. Thank you,
Thank you.
and congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you.
Public comments. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor and the trustees. Hello, my name is Ann Orbach. I have lived at 3840 Harvard Terrace since 1977. I did not think that I would ever come to the Board of Trustees asking for help, but I need help. Do you like to enjoy the outdoors? Do you like to sit on your porch, backyard, or front yard? Do you like to have your family and friends visit you and enjoy the outdoors? I do, but I can't, and I will explain to you why not. Let me tell you about feeding birds. Birds are not the cleanest of eaters. They flick seeds all over the ground, including grass, bushes, porches, windows, etc. Birds poop frequently, which means droppings all over the grounds. Birds attract unwanted critters. Bird seeds can attract creatures like squirrels, chipmunks, raccoons, mice, rats, etc. Birds bring health concerns. Whenever you feed wildlife and it brings multiple animals together and concentrate them, it always increases the chance for disease transmissions. Backyard bird feeding has always been the most common and widespread practice of feeding wildlife. It is not necessarily a direct risk to humans, as you are probably not going to be eating contaminated bird seed yourself, but you might touch it, it might get on your hands, and then you might go eat something. Birds can also carry mites and insects. Rodents coming into your yard to eat birdseed may also carry diseases. Now let me tell you about feeding squirrels. Squirrels may become dependent on you. Animals are smart, and once they see that you feed them, they will likely come back for a long time and will expect that you feed them. By feeding squirrels, you will automatically also attract rats and other unwanted animals. Squirrels are also wild animals, and feeding them cannot be considered natural at all. Squirrels may carry serious diseases like rabies and fleas. People underestimate how messy squirrels are. They don't care about the appearance of your lawn. One day, you might find your yard looking quite pearly, since squirrels just dug holes to hide and store food given to them by people. Squirrels also don't care about your belongings. They will jump around and break things sooner or later. Did you know that squirrels may enter your home? They often feel pretty comfortable in the attic, and if you are not careful, you will just have many squirrels inside your walls, which can greatly damage your home. Even though you might love squirrels, your neighbors may feel differently and may not like them at all. In some states, feeding squirrels may even be prohibited by law. There are also laws regarding feeding that govern our national park system, where it is illegal to feed any wildlife. Well, you might ask, why am I telling you all this? My direct neighbors at 3844 Harvard Terrace are feeding squirrels, birds, and who knows what other animals. This has been going on for the past 2 years. The feeding begins very early in the morning, 7 days a week, and goes on the whole day until late in the evening. When one feeding is done, they add more and more. My window screens, railings, and porch are being damaged by the birds and squirrels. My entire yard is being damaged by squirrels, birds, and rabbits. The birds and squirrels took over my bushes, lawn, gutters, and roofs on the house and garage. There are animal droppings everywhere. I can't have my garage door open because the squirrels, chipmunks, and birds go inside. Lately, I noticed cats, mice, and even rats around the 3844 Harvard Terrace backyard. The birds and squirrels are becoming very aggressive. They attack you. You cannot be outside. I would like to have my family and friends to come visit me. I would like to spend time outside on my porch, in the backyard and front yard. I want my property to look beautiful as it was 2 years ago, before the feedings began. I want my peaceful life back. We have also noticed an increase of coyotes on Harvard Terrace. The Skokie Police Department has even said that residents should limit the availability of unintentional food sources such as pet food, bird food, fruit from backyard trees, and trash. Never intentionally attempt to feed or leave water outside for coyote or other animals. I have spoken with Health Department and the Skokie Police Animal Control. They were great, but they cannot do anything because Skokie's ordinance allows feeding of birds and wildlife, squirrels, chipmunks, rats, mice, rabbits, raccoons, opossums, skunks, pigeons, etc. I'm a prisoner in my own home. I want to enjoy my porch, backyard, and front yard. I don't want to have more damages to my property than I already have. I want to be happy again and not be aggravated by my neighbors that are purposely feeding the wildlife. I hope that after hearing me, you will understand why I need your help. I feel very strongly that the Skokie Ordinance Section 18-11 needs to be changed. Thank you in advance for your cooperation in this matter. Please let me know of your decision. Thank you.
Are they doing ground feeding?
Pardon me?
Are they doing ground feeding?
Yes, they have, right now they have at least 3 bird feeders.
No, ground feeding.
They're throwing food for squirrels and birds on the ground. Yes.
Okay. We will, if you would give us your phone number,
Okay.
we will have
Would you
somebody.
like to have a copy of this?
Sure.
Okay.
Ground feeding is not permitted. Our ordinance. I understand. And I understand. I'm just trying to tell you that our ordinance does not permit ground feeding, so let us review it, and we will be in touch.
I just want to make a final comment concerning our agenda. I wanted to make a request that at our next meeting, under new business, that we discuss and clarify the process by which trustees get policy issues on the agenda for board consideration. Yeah, this is just something that's been on my mind. Last couple of days, we're kind of nearing the end of our first year of the term on the board, and we haven't had any agenda items under new business so far. And so, yeah, that's my request.
Okay.
Thank you.
Trustee Sucker. Or let me ask, does anybody else have any comments?
I move we adjourn for executive session.